order. This is a meeting of the Ojai Valley Groundwater Management Agency on September 25th, 2025 at 3:07. Call the roll.
Director Daddy?
Here.
Director Whitman?
Here.
Director Ayala? Here. Director Weaver?
Here.
Chair Hages?
Here. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, director announcements. Mike, you have anything from the mutuals?
No, nothing.
Bob?
Nothing.
Andy?
No.
No.
No. Okay, general manager comments. Julia?
We're just plugging away with all the regular, day-to-day work. CC sent out the statements for this last quarter of the fiscal year yesterday, so that's always a big effort to get out. Otherwise, everything's are just plugging away. Everything else is already on the agenda.
All right, thank you. Okay, basin status report.
Thank you, Chair Hages. Let me get over to sharing the PowerPoint for the day. And begin a slideshow from the beginning here. Can you see the PowerPoint presentation on the screen in Chambers? Looks like it is. Today, the presentation is entitled Hopefall. Sort of a little bit of a play on words as we usually do, in that this fall is showing signs of hope for hydraulic conditions in the basin. Water year to date, rainfall totals, 15.91 inches on Nordoff Ridge and 9.21 inches on the valley floor. A little bit more than last time we met. If we think about what happened just on September, we had just over half an inch on the ridge and 0.19, just under a fifth of an inch on the valley floor. Doesn't sound like a whole lot, but given this time of year, we are seeing some hydrologic changes just associated with that small amount of rainfall, most notably because plants are starting to take up a little less water. Some are starting to lose their leaves, longer nights, shorter days, cooler, both. And of course, some cloud cover and a little precipitation and humidity affect plant uptake, which in turn affects groundwater levels and stream flow. Deep in the basin, we have the hydrograph of the Key Well. Right now, as of today, 137.74 feet to water in the Key Well. We calculate about 75% capacity, or 60,000 acre feet of water in storage in the basin. And what's interesting and what gives us some hope here is that we've been comparing this to the 2012 water year. The idea being that in April of 2025, we had about 99 feet to water. And in 2012, we had a very similar depth to water. The nadir in both cases really is an indication of the health of the basin and how we are conserving. So we're about halfway to the equivalent nadir of 2012. So far, we're winning the race in 2025 with respect to conservation of water. Water budget, not a lot of water flowing into the basin as surface flow, as expected, but the flow out is a little bit still going. A little bit higher than last month from Montgomery or the Fox Barranca at 0.05 CFS. Surface flow out of the basin was about 1.29. Zeros across the board. Total inflow about 1.24 surface flow out. Something that we mentioned last month, but have a bit more formal of a presentation here. We estimated about 1,600 acre feet of recharge going into the basin, largely from January to April, and then the same amount removed from the basin through the second quarter. And the extraction rates and charges made their way to certainly made their way to getting the water levels back down there. Hold on one second. And that was shown up as 15.72 acre feet reported extractions for those 2 quarters. So a pretty good balance in what we assumed and calculated for a recharge versus what is actually was extracted from that main aquifer. We see the recession continue. We're not quite yet to the nadir with respect to groundwater in the Key Well area. That is, of course, the main portion of the basin. While we may be seeing an uptick in the shallowest perch system. Flow in, still very dry up Ladera, Thatcher, at the confluence of Gridley and Senior Canyon, where San Antonio Creek becomes the Abyssal Creek. Across the basin, relatively dry. A little bit more water coming out underneath Creek Road. And of course, the discharge point of the basin proper. This is last month's and then this month. So a little bit less actually coming through there. And this is going to the larger drainage area versus the further to the west area. It responds typically more quickly to the shallow precipitation. There's of course fog that you can see in this image. Down at Old Creek Road, the county gauge last month and then this month, those flows taking up more of the phreatic uptake associated with the San Antonio Creek corridor. Down to the confluence with Ventura River, this is the gauge at Casitas Vista. Back in August, things were still trending downward. And what gives us some hope here is that it's relatively stable through the last week or so. A little bit of an uptick as we've had some increased precipitation in the flow of the river there proper. What do we have going forward seasonally? The October, November, December predictions from NOAA seem to be about equal chances of average for that time period, which is fairly good if we get an average at that point. But then going forward into January, February, March, looking below average. So we'll see. It could be a halfway decent water year all told. We'll stop share there. And any questions?
Any questions?
I had a question, Jordan. You compared 2012 to 2025. How much, do you know how much we pumped in 2012 compared to this year? Were we pumping a lot more?
That's a good question. I don't have that number off the top of my head. But I think between Cece and Julia, we can dig that up, and with Tara's help too. We certainly have the data and can add that to the race call as we get closer to the nadir here.
I'm just curious because I feel like we've lost agricultural acreage during that time, so.
Yeah, there's certainly, I mean, even if we look at an air photo of 2012 over the basin versus 2025, there's a lot more yellowish brown checkerboards on the basin floor.
Yep.
So it's certainly, from my perspective, it's a fairly negative condition, but the net effect on the basin water levels is probably on the positive side.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you, Jordan.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item is public comments on items not on today's agenda. Is there any public listening that would like to make a comment? Okay, hearing none. The consent agenda, we have the financial report for August and the minutes for the August 28th meeting.
Make a motion, we accept.
Second.
Call the roll.
Director Daddy?
Yes.
Director Whitman?
Yes.
Director Ayala? Can I abstain because I wasn't here?
Yes, you can't vote on that.
Director Weaver?
Yes.
Chair Hages?
Yes. Okay, the first action item is revised financial policy and procedural manual. Julia?
Yes, so I presented the draft revised financial policy and procedure manual at the last meeting in August. Just to highlight the changes, it mainly included an increase in the general manager's authorization for professional services and for purchasing in accordance with the board's direction. So I just incorporated those changes and the final version is in front of you.
Questions or comments? Hearing none, do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Call the roll.
Director Daddy,
Yes.
Director Whitman,
Yes.
Director Ayala,
Yes.
Director Weaver,
Yes.
Chair Hages.
Yes. Item B is fiscal year 25-26 budget. Julia?
So this includes a modification from the draft that I presented at last month's meeting based on the level of effort to prepare the 5-year periodic evaluation, and that's another item on the agenda tonight. So I increased that budget item from 200,000 to 250,000. It is a big effort over the next year to meet the deadline from DWR. We're also going to have other expenses related to the biannual audit that needs to be done, and I incorporated an hourly rate increase for the part-time staff that we have. Those are kind of the big ticket items. I want you to I mean, you just saw the financial statement. So we do have healthy bank balances to fund these efforts. That was the intent of raising the groundwater sustainability plan fee last year. And so we have that money in the bank now because we knew that this 5-year periodic evaluation was coming and we needed the cash on hand basically to get it done. I'm happy to answer any questions about any of the budget items.
Any questions? Julia, were you able to project reserve balance at the end of the year?
I did not, no. I can do that and present that for next time.
All right. Any other questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion to adopt the budget?
I'll make a motion. We approve.
A second.
Call the roll.
Director Daddy,
Yes.
Director Whitman,
Yes.
Director Ayala,
Yes.
Director Weaver,
Yes.
Chair Hages.
Yes. Okay, item C, employment agreements. Julia?
Thank you, Richard. So Cece and Tara are the part-time staff who keep the office going and manage all the activities of the basin related to quarterly statements, resolving issues with the well owners, doing the input into the database itself, answering questions. I have factored in a 5% increase in their hourly rate, and these employment agreements reflect that. It was a similar agreement from last year at this time, so that's really the only change. They're still entitled to sick leave per the state of California regulations, so that's incorporated as well.
Peter, I assume you reviewed these?
So I did a year ago, and I think these have been just updated for the current year. I have not taken a close look at the agreements, but I suspect there's been no changes except updating the dates and
Yeah.
bringing them current. Is that accurate?
The dates and the hourly rate.
And the hourly rates.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the scope of my review,
Okay.
limited.
Any questions?
Richard, can I have a comment there, please? This is Bert.
Is there someone online that has a question?
Can I have a comment? This is Bert.
Yeah, Bert.
Yeah, Julia, have you heard any information on the small group, whether they're going to get any better funding or anything on that front?
I
Oh,
think,
I was gonna bring that up later during the
It's not a
legislative ad hoc committee, Bert.
Thank you.
Sure.
no other questions?
I would just like to comment that, I think we're lucky to have Cece, and she knows all of the pumpers, and I'm glad she's still here. So thank you.
I
think we're all
second that
good.
motion, if I'm allowed to.
We don't have any other questions, I have a motion,
Move to approve.
call the roll.
Director Daddy,
Yes.
Director Whitman,
Yes.
Director Ayala,
Yes.
Director Weaver,
Yes.
Chair Aegis.
Yes. Okay, did we just approve both of them, or was it one at a time?
I thought I was moving to approve both of them.
That's what I thought you did.
And I think that's appropriate.
Okay. Okay, item D, groundwater sustainability plan, year 5, periodic evaluation. Julia?
This is the big ticket item for next year. It's a requirement of DWR that we update the groundwater sustainability plan, look back and update what we can over the last 5 years, address their recommended actions. And you can see the attached scope from DUDEC is very extensive. It will take the full year to get it done and coordinate all that effort with DUDEC. They will submit a draft. They will periodically provide updates to the board at meetings for, including presentations. And then we'll get a draft document to review, and they'll incorporate any revisions or comments that we might have, and then it needs to be submitted to DWR by the end of January in 2027. The draft will also be released to the public for comment.
Okay, any questions or comments?
I have a comment.
Okay,
I really think we need to move up our priority to get the ad hoc committee to get our local assembly and senator on board with this. We have a charge that gives us no significant different information whatsoever in our basin. We have no subsidence. We have no other things that affect us except maybe this adjudication. And our pumpers are having to spend an extra $10 an acre foot for reports that don't change. We could just change the year and submit the same report, and it would be the same over and over again. So I think we need to find out what kind of relief we can get for those small basins that pump under 5,000 acre feet a year.
well, we're gonna have some information later in the agenda on that.
Okay.
Any other comments? I mean, I'd agree this is an enormous waste of money. It doesn't do a thing for the basin, and hopefully we'll get some relief.
And maybe we could question them because they've got a word in there that I find to be horrible, significant. And I'd really like to see the definition, because if it's significant, maybe we shouldn't be doing this at all.
You know, there's certainly nothing significant that's happened in the past 5 years, except it rained and filled up the basin.
Since this basin has been formed 35 years.
Yeah. Well, Julia is working with a group that's trying to address this, so hopefully we'll have some success.
And the Upper Ventura Groundwater Management Agency has the same comment.
Is it a similar cost?
Yeah, we don't have, the basins fill up, the Upper Ventura drains out, so it's a little bit different, but pumps very little, and it's.
But the answer's the same, report
Answer's
after
the
report
same.
after report,
And
that's the
if we have to do
problem.
it every 5 years,
There's no
it's-
new information whatsoever that's gleaned.
It's,
The fee is based on actual work hours, or is it flat number?
Yeah, this is the schedule of fees here. It's hours for different technicians.
And yet there's hardly any changes.
Yeah, well, this is the first 5-year report we've done, so.
and everything needs to be scientifically, looked
Yeah.
at, and they have to sign off on it. That's what the law says, so we,
There's different reporting programs where it's staged. So, if you can answer yes to half a dozen questions, you don't have to go to part B, C, and D, because there's a lot of simple answers that said we don't need to dig deeper than this because we're clearly sustainable.
Yeah.
And Michael, could you imagine a cost? This is a cost where they don't have to dig. Can you imagine what the cost is if they had to dig? 4, 5, 7 figure?
A lot of
It
it's,
just seemed quite high
It-
for something that doesn't really have to change very much.
Right, I agree.
yeah, and there's a lot of exercises that they have to go through, and downloading data to the website for the state, and
And the state does a lot of one-size-fits-all
yes.
reporting requirements and rules that don't make any sense for smaller rural communities like ours.
Julia, could you tell us what the largest task is in this effort?
Yeah, I've got it. I've got my hard copy here.
And we've got representatives of DUDEC here as well, I think. Who
Yes,
could address
yeah.
any questions you might have.
Yeah, if they have if you could give us an idea of what the major lifts are in this report.
Oh, Devin, there you are.
Yeah. Hello, Devin here with Dudek. Yeah, the major lifts are well, preparing the document itself is probably the largest lift. It's going to be several hundred pages. But if you recall, when DWR approved the GSP, there was a number of recommended corrective actions, and these are actions that should be undertaken as part of this prior to or as part of this 5-year evaluation, and those included further investigation of stream aquifer interactions, the interconnected surface water, a look at water quality, and in the GSP, there's thresholds for water quality, minimum thresholds and measurable objectives. And so DWR is asking for additional supporting information on how those objectives were developed, and if they are exceeded, who is impacted. Similarly, for groundwater levels, the same questions were asked. We've set these thresholds in the GSP for water levels that at the handful of key wells, if these levels are exceeded, then undesirable or significant impacts could occur, but there needs to be further quantification of who is impacted and what are the impacts, and is there any reason to adjust any of these thresholds for water quality or water levels or the other sustainability indicators. Stream depletion is another one that is going to be a more involved, longer term process. So it's taking another look at all of the sustainable management criteria, they're called, for the basin, addressing the recommended corrective actions, and then answering all of the questions that are in DWR's guidance for preparing these documents. DWR has a specific outline that they would like every GSA to follow to prepare. So it is a large lift. I think the cost is comparable to other basins or on the low end. And it is something that we will work to be as efficient as possible and hopefully come under budget, but it is going to be a large lift. There's also a modeling component, a groundwater modeling component. So there's a whole lot of work, and it will take the next year to accomplish this and prepare the document.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? I don't think we have much of a choice at this point, but, and.
Yeah, I'll say this is opportunity for the board to weigh in and provide language that you would like included in the document. There's opportunity during the preparation of the GSP and now during this periodic evaluation is another opportunity to, review the basin, how the dynamics of the basin, make sure that is thoroughly described, and also the GSA's management and provide whatever input you would like. We can incorporate into this evaluation for submittal to DWR.
Is there an opportunity to check off some of these sustainability targets or whatever they are, and just call them complete? We have, they are sustainable. It's like subsidence, seawater intrusion. Some
Or
of
just
these.
not applicable, yeah.
Yeah, so seawater intrusion already is listed as not applicable. Same with subsidence. The others being groundwater quality, groundwater levels, groundwater and storage, and then interconnected surface water are all applicable to the basin. And at this point, it's the sustainability criteria, these thresholds were set in the GSP. And what DWR is asking is to provide further supporting information that these thresholds are protective of the basin. And if the basin were to reach those thresholds in the future, the GSA has the appropriate protocols in place to reduce pumping or manage the basin such that undesirable results would be avoided. And so a lot of the legwork has already been done, but now it's providing that additional supporting information and every 5 years just ensuring that these sustainable criteria are protective of the basin because it's a dynamic environment. Climate is constantly changing, and so there may be need to adjust these. Unfortunately, there's no way to ever check it off as being complete, but the work that goes into setting these thresholds, that can be complete. And the future work will just involve monitoring what the basin conditions are with respect to those thresholds.
Will you help me understand 4.3 a little bit better? It almost says we have all these adverse conditions now. Well, let me read exactly what it says. Evaluate undesirable results. The following are undesirable results for the basin. Then it goes on to say chronic lowering of groundwater levels. I don't understand that. Reduction of groundwater storage. I've never seen that. Degraded water quality. I'm totally unaware of that. Land subsidence. I don't believe that that's ever been brought up. Or depletions of interconnected surface water. And I'm wondering why these are listed as undesirable results under 4.3, or is that just language put in there for something to look at? Because it almost makes a statement that we have these the way I read it.
That adopts Sigma language directly. I'll let Devin address it more, but that's, straight from the statute, as those are the identified undesirable results. That's a list of them. There's also saltwater intrusion, but as Devin pointed out, that doesn't apply.
Oh, no, I know those are undesirable, but it intimates that this basin has these undesirable, the way the thing is written.
Yeah, no, that is just Sigma language. what the text is communicating in the proposal there is that those are the potential undesirable results, the sustainability indicators. Those are applicable to all basins, and those are what are addressed in the GSP and periodic evaluation. So it's not that those conditions are occurring, but it's that those are what the sustainability
Can we change that
indicators that need to
language?
be addressed.
Yeah, the statement says the following are undesirable results, not suggested or sigma, or we need to watch out for them or be aware of them. It just makes a statement that we have these things that are undesirable. I don't know if we get to ignore that, but, and I don't like to mince things, but
This
that's kind of a
document's-
declaration.
I mean, I appreciate that, Bob. And it sounds like a modest request that probably could be accommodated. But as far as I'm aware, this is just a proposal and not actually anything that gets submitted to DWR. I mean, it could
Correct.
at some point find its way as part of a Public Records Act request or something, but, you know, I think it's an appropriate request, but wordsmithing the document is probably not worth the time or effort, because I don't think it does anything other than just, you know, it's a proposal for us to contract with
Okay.
DUDEC to do these tasks.
I hope the report says none of these are applicable when we get the final report, so.
Yeah, we will do that. Apologies for the misleading language there. Recall that you had similar input during preparation of the GSP, and so yeah, that is a mistake. It's not meant to read that those are the undesirable results. It should say these are the following sustainability indicators that are applicable to the basin that will be reviewed during preparation of this periodic evaluation. So
Okay.
we will be sure to avoid using, that language as it being, it's not applicable to this basin. But that's just the standard Sigma language.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, if not, can I have a motion to approve this proposal?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second it.
Call the roll?
Director Daddy?
Yes.
Director Whitman?
Yes.
Director Ayala?
Yes.
Director Weaver?
Yes.
Chair Hages?
Yes. Okay, where are we? Okay, item E, monitoring well installations in the perched aquifer.
So this is also related to Sigma and the periodic evaluation. One of the things Devin mentioned was that interconnection between surface water and groundwater. And DWR identified some data gaps and wanted some additional documentation to support the interconnectivity of those. So we asked Jordan to look at where would make sense to put some monitoring wells in the basin, and his proposal attached is related to that. We identified 4 locations, or 4 wells at 3 locations. One off of Creek Road near Ventura Street, one at Casitas's Ojai Valley Pump Plant, and 2 at Casitas's Ojai well field. So I'll separately work on some agreements with Casitas to put monitoring wells at those locations. The city of Ojai was amenable to putting one in the public right-of-way off of Creek Road. His proposal does include, it's a little uncertain as to whether the hand augering will work to install those wells. If it does work, it'll be a lower fee. If we do have to get a driller out there, the fee would go up in proportion to that. And these wells would then be monitored on a regular basis and provide some data and documentation about that relationship between the upper zone and the rest of the basin. And I believe Jordan is still on if you've got questions for him as well. Is he?
Now, Jordan, is
Indeed.
the area colored in purple, is that the shallow zone?
Yes, the area colored in purple is shaded to indicate our current understanding of the limits of the perched aquifer or southwest uppermost saturated zone. And these wells are located along the creek corridor and also near the periphery of the limits of the perch system at the San Antonio well field.
So this would more definitely define the boundaries?
It would define the boundaries right at the intersection of San Antonio Creek, as we understand it, and also provide water level, water quality, and temperature data on the perched system such that it can be compared to the flow in San Antonio Creek, which is the key component of habitat interface for the DWR's concerns on data gaps in the GSP.
And we, if I remember correctly, we adopted local legislation that would prevent extracting from the aquifer, the perched aquifer.
Yes, that's correct.
So this is just to monitor.
Just to monitor, yeah.
What's going on with that.
Yes.
Okay.
Are the wells that Ojai Valley Inn, the 4 wells they requested permits for last month, will they provide any information on that zone?
Short answer is no, because those wells are located outside of the Groundwater Sustainability Agency boundaries. It's within the OBGMA jurisdiction, but outside of the alluvial portion of the basin. Those wells are downstream of the spill point of the basin across the Santa Ana Arroyo Preta Fault, and monitor more the San Antonio Creek corridor, shallow groundwater, as opposed to alluvial groundwater within the Ojai Basin as delineated in Bulletin 118. So while those are useful for monitoring creek conditions downstream of the GSA and GSP boundaries, they're separate and distinct from said alluvial basin. And that's an important consideration, because the wells that are proposed here, they add to the network of the depth discrete monitoring well on South Fulton Street. They add to the network of Ojai Valley Sanitary District monitoring wells that we also monitor. But these are the locations where we had physical data gaps within that aerial extent.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
If I could, Jordan, I'm just wondering if there's any need that you see to coordinate with DWR, just so that, when these wells are installed and the data comes in, they accept the data as legitimate, right? For
right.
Proving up.
That's a really good point. Yeah, I mean, because in addition to the physical data gaps and technical data gaps, coordination with outside agencies is also one of the concerns that commenters had on the GSP. So I think it would be worthwhile for us to at least reach out to said agencies. Hey, we're considering these locations. Do you have any comments before we start digging? This is locations that make sense to us from a logistical, property availability, and technical standpoint. But we want to make sure that you have the opportunity to chime in, and I believe there may be a representative or two of the state here on this call today that might be able to chime in now, and are welcome to, of course.
I was just going to mention
you raise a
that.
good point, Peter.
Yeah, Nancy Ojeda is on the call. I don't want to put you on the spot, Nancy, but do you have any input on that, on the monitoring wells, or direct us to a person who you could run that by? Maybe I'll reach out to Nancy separately after the call. or after the meeting.
Right. Or other agencies that, as Peter raises, may wish to have input or decline input on these locations, or this approach to the closing and filling of data gaps.
Yeah,
I have a question. I know in the groundwater, the Ventura River groundwater adjudication, this perched aquifer water and, where it belongs is being categorized as contributing to stream flow. And is that why we're monitoring this, because of that litigation, or is it just kind of coincidental that we're being asked to look at this now? Is this the same thing, or this being asked, across the state to do this type of monitoring?
the question is in our GSP. It's a question we have to address in the GSP.
You know what, I remember that, yeah.
And it's probably gonna be used in other things, yeah.
That question probably did rise out of the
Right.
litigation. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So the short answers are no, and then yes.
Right.
It's critical though, it's critical information, so, because that's the toughest
Yeah.
question in our GSP to answer. The other ones are
Yeah.
relatively
What's
easy.
right? What's good for the goose is good for the gander, and what's good for the GSP is good for the adjudication. So, data are data, and that's really what helps. We can model all we want, but if you've got data that into which to anchor any kind of model, it's going to improve both, and that's what these are all about.
I have a question, Jordan. It's Emily. If you were to look at this map and choose two of the wells, are these the locations where you really want them, or should we be looking at other landowners and places, or are these the ideal spots that?
So yeah, these are the ideal spots that, if you take everything into account as far as logistics, ownership, ease of agreement, willingness of landowners, that we've taken a quick look at, as well as where we don't have monitoring wells. So we have the South Fulton Street well that provides a great data point. We've got a few others that are in the OVSD network, and those are very helpful. These kind of are the bullseyes as far as A, where we need information, and B, where we have willing, relatively easy access to drill these wells with
Okay.
respect to land ownership and logistics.
Just want to make sure they're in the right spots and not just because it's easy and we know the people. So,
Yeah, it's kind of all of the above. Yeah.
okay.
Any other questions? If not, can I have a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
One second.
Call the roll?
Director Daddy,
Yes.
Director Whitman,
Yes.
Director Ayala,
Yes.
Director Weaver,
Yes.
Chair Hages.
Yes. Jordan, how long do you think it'll take to complete this?
So the permitting process is probably about a month to 6 weeks. We probably have about 2 weeks of actual drilling, the first week being an attempted hand auger / initial hand augering for utility clearance at each, and then the actual drilling if we need to get the drilling rig out there on the following week. So, theoretically, as we sit here today at the beginning of October, we could have these wells in the ground potentially as early as December 1st. So that's kind of the goal, to get this in before it gets too wet and rainy. Wells tend to be easier to drill, especially by hand, when it's not flowing artesian at you.
Yeah. All right, thank you. Okay, next are discussion items, the Legislative Ad Hoc Committee. Julia?
So, Bob, I can go ahead and I'll work on setting up a call with you and Andy over the next couple weeks to get that on the books. I did want to mention a couple things. You might recall I participated in the Small Groundwater Sustainability Agency Coalition that Bert mentioned. We had a little win. You probably remember I went to Sacramento in May and we spent the day going up and down the stairs and meeting with different legislators and their staff, asking for basically a cut from Prop 4 that was passed. It was a climate change bill. And it looks like there's a line item for $3.5 million for groundwater sustainability agencies that pump less than 10,000 acre feet annually for them to continue their compliance with SIGMA. So it's great news. I feel like it was a successful trip to Sacramento. It will take time to figure out how exactly they're going to distribute that 3.5 million to the smaller agencies. I'm hoping that it will be a set amount for those agencies and you use it as you see fit for your projects or programs. I don't think it's going to be competitive, but it hasn't really been fleshed out yet. That being said, the last call we had with the small GSA, they have been meeting with DWR to talk through the requirements for not just the 5-year periodic evaluations, but for the annual reports and all the other monitoring that we have to do to try to simplify and streamline it for agencies who, Bob, to your point, who some of the criteria don't apply to. So it is still a very worthwhile organization to be a part of. I did include money in the budget for this year, and making legislative changes is very glacial paced, I guess. I think it is something we should work towards. I've made the comparison that it's like an urban water management plan. It is one size fits all, and every agency has to check all the boxes for everything, even though they aren't applicable. That's just, I don't know if it's from the state standpoint, it's easier for them to manage it that way. And then they're all due at the same time. So they get a bunch of stuff all at the same time. I wish it was more spread out. But the coalition itself, I feel like it is definitely we have a stronger voice when we're all working together. The MOU that's in front of you is a draft for all of the members who want to participate in that coalition. Up to the end of this year, it's going to be funded. It has been funded by the Sonoma County Water Agency, but their funding is going to end at the end of this calendar year. And so they're asking each agency who wants to participate to chip in, basically. Our amount would be, I think it was $800 a month to have basically the lobbyists in Sacramento working on our behalf, on the whole coalition's behalf. I think that's pretty reasonable for what we're getting out of the group. And if you have any comments on that draft MOU, you're certainly welcome to let me know either now during the meeting or later by email.
I have a comment that is just, I appreciate that you got us involved with this group and that it appears to having some benefit. We don't know how much yet, but I'm really glad that you followed up with that and spent the time to go to Sacramento, and you're working with those other agencies.
I appreciate it. I think it really bore some fruit.
You know how many agencies there are?
There's about a dozen in there in the actual coalition now. I think there's another 5 or 6 who meet the criteria, but who haven't actively participated, and they're continually, reaching out. If more agencies participate, our fee will go down. It's kind of depends on who ultimately signs the MOU.
Yeah, don't encourage too many because it'll divvy up that.
It's a lot to wrangle, I know.
Pizza and more pizza.
Rather have Pay the monthly fee.
Any questions?
Did you go with Brian Bondi of Upper Ventura? Was he at that meeting in May?
He did not go. I kind of represented all of the, Ventura, Santa Barbara area.
It's probably a good way for us to keep communication open with other local agencies in our area as well, so,
Yeah, Brian does participate in the calls.
yeah.
And we touch base about things all the time.
All right, well, thank you, Julia.
Welcome.
Bert, did you have any comments on this?
No, I didn't, Richard. Thank you.
All right. Okay, next is meter compliance ad hoc committee update. I don't think we have anything, do we, Julia?
We just have a special meeting in 1 minute for the lingering non-compliant meter that we've imposed penalties and fines on.
All right. So we're gonna close the regular meeting.
I think so, yeah.
Close.
They're separately agendized, so adjourn this meeting and call the special meeting to order.
Okay, we'll adjourn the regular meeting of the Ojai Groundwater Management Agency at 3:58. And we will call to order the special board hearing on, what is the item? I don't have
The agenda.
no.
Special meeting.
Pulling the agenda up right now. I can share my screen if you'd like. Would that help, Richard?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
It is a board hearing to consider the imposition of fines to be assessed against the owner and operator of state well number 05N22W32HO1S. I'm going to call the hearing to order. Julia?
So back in March, the board held a special hearing for two wells. This was one of them. The other well did comply with the metering. Eventually, we got the information that we needed. The owner of this well has not provided anything yet regarding installation of a meter. You can see in the attachments, there's a history of the correspondence that I've had with them by email. I've left voicemails as well and have not gotten any response from them. I believe they're also behind on their quarterly statements, and they had asked for an extension. Back in March, they asked for an extension till the end of June, and then still have not heard anything or gotten a response. I don't know that if anyone on the call is representing that owner, but it's since March 28th, the day after the last hearing, to today, September 25th, it's a total of 181 days. The board previously assessed the $500 one-time fee, so that, like it says, it's a one-time fee and we can't impose that again. The board at the March hearing imposed a $50 per day rate as a civil penalty. So my recommendation was to duplicate that and impose the $50 per day for the period from March 28th to September 25th. And the resolution is attached.
So what's the total fine?
It's $9,050.
And nothing has been paid since the initial fees
Correct.
were imposed? And they haven't been paying their quarterlies either, or they have?
CC has it there. I believe they're at least a year behind.
Yes. That's correct.
And this is the only well that is not metered, correct?
There are still, I know this is I'll get you up to speed, Emily. So there were, after the last one, there were a handful of well owners who asked to be exempt from the metering requirement for different special circumstances, and the board went through and adopted a meter exemption policy that requires them to first get a certificate of exemption from the county, and then they can apply for exemption from OBGMA. So far, no one has gone through that process. So there's still people we need to follow up, like if you're not going to request an exemption, you still need to put a meter in. So that's still an ongoing activity that we're doing. Some people have just said, okay, I'll just put a meter on. So there are still some stragglers out there that we're working on. This one is one that, you know, we've tried. It's been almost a year now since we initially reached out to this one and just have not gotten a response from. Other people at least have communicated with us.
Yeah. I just want to make sure that we're treating everybody equally in terms of civil penalties and fees for non-compliance. I think that's important.
And this well operator was given notification of
Yes.
what we're doing here today, and we received no type of a response from them to that
That's
either.
correct. That's
And I
correct.
think I did see in our packet that there was an intermediary who was, you know, just kind of trying to figure out information, but there was nothing to let us know if there were any special circumstances for why.
No, nothing like that. It's managed by a a property management or business management type firm. We haven't corresponded with the actual owner. It's in the name of a trust, so it goes to a business office.
Julia, do we have any understanding of how long this current ownership of this property's existed?
Cece, you might have a property report in that folder. I'll look in my share drive as well to see if I can find it. It would be a property report from RealQuest.
I mean, I know in the past we've had properties, a number of properties.
I think it's 2013.
Okay, well, you know, that's a dozen years, so, you know, I can see a year, 2 years. We have issues with some of those. But when you've had a dozen years, I don't see where compliance then is something that's unachievable.
Is this an active well? Do we know that?
I believe so. I don't think it's I don't have anything to identify that it's not active.
Okay.
They are not a Casitas customer, so I can't tell if they use water from a meter. They're way up off Ladera. I think that might be, my God, I'm not sure if they're in Senior Canyons service area.
It was drilled in 2004.
And are you recommending a specific action on our part for this hearing?
Yes, the imposition of the civil penalties of $50 a day for that 181 days.
So I have a
I
hard
mean,
time.
the board can take whatever action they like, but that's you have the ability, you know, we had this the last hearing, the board has the authority for up to $1,000 a day. But obviously that's a lot of money. It's a lot of zeros.
Yeah, so my feeling is we put together these rules and we don't really have a statement objecting or opposing to what we're proposing to do, I don't see that we have any course other than to adopt the recommended fines and wait and see if we get any response to that.
Is there anyone online that represents this property? So I guess that answer is no.
So I'll move to adopt the
Yeah.
fines and penalties that are,
Yeah, it's resolution 2025-5, imposing a penalty of $50 per day for 181 days.
yeah, I'll move to approve that resolution.
Okay. Have a second?
I'll second.
Call the roll?
Director Daddy,
Yes.
Director Whitman,
Yes?
Director Ayala,
Yes.
Director Weaver,
Yes.
Chair Hages.
Yes. All right, with that, we are adjourned.
Thank you.